Welcome to PlayPianoTODAY.com. This piano lesson is called Chord Modulations. In this lesson, we're going to look at some very unique slash chords. In previous lessons, we've used slash chords to transform very complicated chords into manageable, easy-to-play chords that sound fantastic on the keyboard. But today, we've got a brand new use for slash chords. You'll love this. We're going to use them as modulation chords. Now, modulation is a big word, kind of a scientific-sounding word, but it's an essential skill that you must have in your toolbox if you want to be a successful musician. Webster's defines modulation like this: a change from one musical key to another. For instance, changing from the key of C major to the key of A minor would be modulating. Here's the definition again: a change from one musical key to another. Any musician can simply jump from one key to another. However, in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use slash chords to modulate or transition smoothly between keys. Not only will these slash chords enable you to move smoothly from key to key, but they're especially useful for keyboard players that play within a band. For instance, you can use them if you're playing within a band and all of a sudden you realize, there's another song coming up that's in a different key and we need to transition smoothly to it, and you haven't had a chance to tell the band yet. Or maybe you start a song out way too high and you've got to drop it down a key before the singer's head blows off. Something like that, where you need to be able to move to a different key smoothly, but you haven't talked to the band. Simply by playing these slash chord modulations, your entire band will know that you're going to move to a different key and you won't have to say a single word. This is a powerful technique, especially if you're ever playing with another group of musicians. So let's get to it. There's lots of study today. We're going to be looking at 3 specific techniques that will come in very handy in different situations that may require you to modulate on the fly. The first technique will be how to move up a half step, for instance, from A to B flat. The second will be how to move up a fourth, for instance, from D to G. And the last technique we'll look at will be how to move down a minor third, for instance, from C to A minor. Let's go ahead now and look at the first slash chord modulation, moving up a half step. In this example, we're going to go up a half step, or from one key to the very next key up. And by way of example, I'm going to go from A major to B flat major. Now, I mentioned this before, but if you're playing by yourself, there really is no conflict. You can go back and forth. You don't have to give any kind of a slash chord modulation to give anybody a heads up that you're going to move, because there really is no conflict. However, if you're playing with a singer or a band and they stay in A while you go to B flat, it's not very musical. You'll lose your job mighty quick. So let's look at how to use this slash chord modulation to go smoothly up a half step. Let me show you what the finished product sounds like up to speed, and then we'll slow it way down and look at it note for note in detail. But here I am playing along in the key of A. You're playing along in A. It's a good day to play in A. I'm playing my song in A. I'm supposed to be in B flat. So I give a nice modulation chord and everybody can hear, hey, we're moving to B flat. Did you hear how smooth that was? Let me go back to A. I'm playing a lot of different things in A, but I'm in the key of A here. And I'm going to give you a nice modulation chord and get to B flat. Now, I was trying to give you a sense of the finished product there, so I played a lot of stuff all over the keyboard. But now let's break it down to the nitty-gritty, note-for-note version and look at it in detail. Doing a slash chord modulation from the key of A up a half step to B flat. Let's throw in that magic modulation chord. Here's A. Here's the magic modulation chord. And then all of a sudden, like a horse heading for the barn, the music has got to go to B flat, right? It has to. Listen to that. Once you hit that modulation chord and you're in the key of A, man, everybody knows where we're going. We're going up a half step. Okay, so now I could just tell you what that magic modulation chord is, and you can see it there, but I want you to know how to find it. So let's start with the chord that we're modulating from, which is A. Okay, then we want to do that magic modulation and go to B flat. So when you're in A, you have to ask yourself just a little bit of math here, just a tiny little formula, but once you get it, it's real easy to do. Here's the question. A, the note A, is the third of what other major chord on the piano? Let me ask that again. The note A is the third of what other major chord on the piano? Is it the third of E major? No, obviously not. Is it the third of C sharp? No. How about F major? Hey, bingo, there it is. A is the third of the F major chord. So when the time comes to modulate up a half step, in your right hand it's very simple. You say, okay, what chord am I playing? Well, in this case, A. Okay, the note A is the third of what other major chord? In this case, it's F major. So in your right hand, you just simply, all of a sudden, out of the blue, play an F major chord. And what do you do with the left hand? Absolutely nothing. Isn't that great? You just keep playing the A. Let me show you. Here we are playing in A, and you want to move up to B flat, but the bass player doesn't have a clue what's going on. Well, I shouldn't say that, but he doesn't know what you're about to do. He's out in the cold, and I don't know why you're not telling him what's going on. But you want to move up to B flat. Just keep playing an A in your left hand, because that's most likely what the bass player is concentrating on. He's probably playing an A down there anyways, because that's the chord you're on, right? And in your mind, he looks at you and your eyes are kind of glazed over because you're doing your little mental gymnastics, and you're thinking, okay, A is the third of what? It's the third of F, so you play an F chord. Okay, F, A, C. Now, if you've gone through our course at PlayPianoTODAY.com, and there's the plug for my course, if you've gone through that course, you know you can play F, A, C here in root position, or you can play it here. F, A, C in first inversion, or F, A, C in second inversion. Either way, the horse is going to head for the barn again, isn't it? The bass player's head snaps around and he looks at you, but he's not mad. He's excited. He's thinking, man, this is cool. I'm part of a modulation. And deep down in his musical brain, a little voice will say, hey, it sounds like I need to move to B flat. And everybody makes the move together, and another train wreck is avoided, thanks to the wonderful technique of modulation. Now, this is a powerful modulation technique, and we're going to go just a little further here. Now, I said you could play that F in any inversion while the left hand is thumping the bass down there. But if you want to go a little further, this is for the students that really want to dig in, you can add a color tone to your right hand. You can add the second of the chord, right? What's the second? Well, here's the root, here's the third, here's the fifth. It's got to be here, huh? Here's the second. Listen how nice that is. Or you can play it like this. That's what I did in the example earlier. I actually played it like this. I left out the third, but it doesn't matter. All these inversions of the F chord have the exact same function. They want to push up to B flat. This slash chord modulation has two really excellent applications. The first one is when you use this in the middle of a song. Let's say the energy just needs to come up a little bit in the next verse. This is a great way to clue the whole band in, and everybody comes up together and you add a bunch of energy. Or maybe the singer looks over at you and says, can you bring it up a little? This is a great way to do that, because you know what? It's really tough to clue the band in that we're going to go up a half step unless you use this slash chord modulation. The other time this thing really comes in handy is when you're putting a set of songs together and the next song is up a half step. Again, that's really a hard transition to make unless you use this half step slash chord modulation. Don't be afraid to rewind this video and go through that again. There's not a whole lot of musical math that you have to understand. It's a pretty simple formula, but you've got to get it exactly right to make that smooth modulation up a half step. And then let's go on to the next technique. The next slash chord modulation I want to show you today is how to modulate up a fourth. Now, the primary use of this modulation, this has just been the first half of this lesson. If you'd like to see the whole thing, it's completely free of charge. Go to PlayPianoTODAY.com/lessons. In this website, there's a wealth of online piano and keyboard lessons that you can dig into right away, including this lesson.